There's a line in the Spamalot Diaries, you and Mike Nichols, there's a lot of correspondence back and forth between you two. And at one point, Mike Nichols writes you and he says, I've been thinking a lot about you, Eric, and your childhood. And he's talking about, he acknowledges that he had a crazy, insane childhood, but he's talking about how your childhood was so difficult. And he said this line that really stuck with me, which is, I guess we all inoculate ourselves against our own childhood. And that really stuck with me, that whatever happens to us individually, and this goes to anyone listening, if it happens to you, you tend to dismiss it. Like, well, no, I was fine. Oh my God, what this other person went through. You know what I mean? Yes. And when Mike Nichols says that line, he said, because you're so good, I don't know how much of it is being English and how much of it is your own character as Eric Idle, your own personality, but I could just see how you have a stiff upper lip. You could be very dismissive of any kind of pain in your life. Oh, I'm fine. Oh, this poor other person. But how much of that is English? How much of that is you? And you're going to be charged for therapy when this is over.
I don't know. I mean, I think you learn empathy. I mean, you start by being an egotistical shit by going into show business. Look at me, I'm in show business.
Yeah.
And then you can behave very badly. And I learned from lots of very good people, like Robin Williams taught me how to be nice to fans. Mm-hmm. I would just tell them to fuck off, and they would laugh and go away, you know. But that was good enough for them to say, oh, he told me to fuck off.
I just was told to fuck off by Eric Idle.
And that became a thing. And then I thought, and then I watched Robin and his empathy. And remembering that this is somebody's moment in their life, and it's a big moment in their life, because they've waited they love you, they want this moment. So if you are a shit or dismissive, it's a nasty memory. So what I always do is I always say, "Oh, I'm Eric," and I get their name.
Yes.
And then you're on a one-to-one human basis with them.
Yeah.
And you're not some kind of god, and they're not some abject fan. So I try and I think that works in all sorts of situations where you remind people that they're people. Yeah. And we're just here at this moment.
It's funny you mentioned Robin, because I didn't realize how close you guys were. You guys were very close. And I was lucky enough to have some great interactions with Robin Williams before he passed. And one of the most memorable examples to me of his kindness is when I went through my whole Tonight Show debacle, and finally the show is done, and I don't know if I have a career anymore, or what am I going to do next? You remember this part very well, Sona, because Sona was with me during all that. And I'm lying on the floor in the living room of my house, and my phone rings, and I pick it up, and it's Robin Williams. I don't even know how he got my phone number. I'll never forget. He goes like, "How you holding up, Chief?" Yeah. And I said, "Oh, Robin, thanks so much for calling." And he said, listen, you're going to be fine. You're going to be great. I know you like to ride bikes, because he was really into bicycling. And he said, I know you like riding bikes. Go down to the bike shop down in Santa Monica. I want you to go down there, and I've set up a bike for you. And I said, what? And he said, no, just head on down there. And ride around, you'll feel better. And I went down, and it was a Colgana, which is a very nice bike. And he said, I told him to paint it in all these crazy Irish colors. And I get down there, and it's the ugliest. I mean, it was just, greens and shamrocks and everything. And I couldn't believe. And he was like, oh, you're going to like that bike, Chief. Don't worry about it. And I just thought, I thanked him many, many times. I just couldn't believe that he was thinking about me. You know how we are in life.
But that's how
you think about someone. Oh, that's too bad. What happened to him? Oh, whatever. Anyway, I'm going to go get a sandwich.
No. He reached out. He thought what might please you. He went and got to a shop and chose. I mean, he would put a lot of effort into making you feel better, which I thought that's very, very Robin. That's fantastically typical Robin, and that generosity and kindness is something combined with the wit on the man is not a common combination.
Yeah,
I don't think Dr. Johnson was busy sending people. Maybe he might have done, but I think I mean
he had Boswell do it.
He had Boswell.
Boswell, send that fucker a bike. I saw you today for the first time in person since Leo came out, and I felt emotional because I'm so happy for you. You're my friend, but also I was saying you and I have collaborated on so much stuff, and there's a lot of noise out there, and I'm very proud of the stuff we've worked on together.
Oh, yeah.
But I saw this thing, and I thought, oh, this is going to be a movie that kids are watching and with their parents because it's really funny. But they're going to be watching it like 50 years from now. I don't know how they'll be putting drops in their eyes and watching it.
Yeah, maybe.
But no, it's
very nice.
It's really I think it's lasting. I think it's a classic.
That's
and
amazing.
I was just delighted, just really delighted for you because Jesus, you deserve it.
Thank you. It's like it feels like the first thing I've ever done that everyone agreed on at the same time. Like, our show was amazing and we loved it more than anything. And there was an audience that got it. There's always, and I've had, and then little segments that I've done, like the cartoons on SNL, but any independent project that I've done, even the ones that were successful, like the Zohan or Hotel Transylvania, it wasn't a critical success. This is like everything.
Everything's coming together.
Yeah. It's never happened to me in my whole career. So it's like, it's just weird, but I love it and I'm very excited and I'm very happy and I really
and it's 4 years.
Stuck my neck. I know.
You've been working on this for 4 years. You've been telling me about it, and I've been saying enough with the talking. Where is it?
I know. It was maddening, and I would like go on Zoom meetings, because like first you animate it to like black and white drawings,
animatics,
and. We tested it and it did great. And it's like, great, now do the whole thing over. And that was like the creative process, working with board artists. Now you're converting the whole thing to 3D. And it's almost like, okay, we just want it to be as good as the animatic now. Like we've made most of the creative decisions and it's just so technical. And like, sometimes there'd be Zoom meetings where my other two directors, like my notes were usually about acting, and they'd be like, Leo's tail, it has a little bump, it's off model and shit like that. And I would literally, just to be sane, I would like mute myself on the Zoom and start making animal noises. Just like, what do you think, Cal? And I would send it to friends with like, they would hear the meeting in the background. The cow doesn't like the idea. Sorry.
The other thing I should point out is you write the music in this. There's a lot of really great songs in it.
Oh, that's nice.
And, but it was fun for me because you and I, one thing we always had in common was we always wanted sketches to turn into songs.
I know.
So we thought sketches should have a theme song. So when we were working on Mr. Short-Term Memory,
that was like the first.
We wanted it to have a song.
Yeah, and Lauren was like, can't it just be, because Don Pardo for years would just be, and now another episode of Short-Term Memory Man.
Yeah.
And Lauren literally said, can't it just be another episode of... And we
were like, no, it has to be. And Odenkirk and Greg Daniels were working on this too. But we were like, no, it has to be a song. Mr. Short-Term Memory.
Yes.
He shouldn't have sat under that pear tree.
Yes.
And it's Tom Hanks sitting under a pear tree and a pear drops and hits him on the head. Now he has no memory.
He'll frustrate you so, but he'll never know because he's Mr. Short-Term. It was one of those things. It was like the first one. Yeah, I love the elegance of that first line. But then that became like a plague on the show. Like everybody stared putting jingles at the top of every character.
Everything had to have a jingle.
Everything had a jingle.
Right.
But yes, actually I would have to, the biggest thrill of this movie on some level is just the balls to write songs and music. Like I was so scared to do it on one hand, but then I knew a composer, this brilliant composer, David Yazbek. I can't even play a musical instrument. I just sang these into GarageBand and then I sent them to him and I was like, do these suck? And he was like, no, they don't suck. And I was like, oh God.
The song at the end with all the children saying how old they are.
Oh, when I was 10.
And then it
that's
blends
beautiful.
into the next age.
Thank you.
It was amazing.
Yeah, that's my favorite. And I love it because it's funny. it starts out really funny because the premise is like probably an old Peanuts premise, like a kid thinking, oh, back when I was 7, things were, you have no idea what you're looking.
Right.
But I just love like the lyrics are very silly at first. Like, we all left milk for Santa Claus. My mom was not in menopause and that kind of thing. And it's all very like heartfelt and they're in a spotlight. And then it turns at one point, one girl's reminiscing about her grandfather and my gerbils are still alive. It's still kind of funny. And then another kid says, I didn't care that people died, which is something that's based on something I experienced with my son, Rowie, who's also in the movie. He plays the whatever kid, the allergy kid.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God,
the drone kid. But anyway,
such a great. I love the drone.
Oh, the drone's amazing.
When he eats, when he goes full Bridget Jones and starts eating the chocolate ice cream.
I love that. Thank you. But so Rowie, when my dad passed away, my kids used to like laugh at the idea of death. I don't know if you have a similar, but my kids
still do.
Well, you sort of get over the shock, and then it's like, realize how funny it is after your own parents die. No, so Rowie, they would like, death, man. What is that all about? And they'd giggle about how weird it is when they were like 4. And then like my dad passed away when they were 8, and he had a long illness and a beautiful long life. So the part of me was relieved. But the thing that really made me cry was like hearing Rowie experience it and cry. He was crying really hard. I was with my mom, and so I spoke to him on the phone, and I realized that not only is he crying because he adored his grandfather, but because he's taking in this reality. So that part gets me every time. That's when I get emotional when I hear that song.
Well, it's a absolutely beautiful movie, and you're right. It's like it's nice when it all comes together. And I'm looking at this. Leo has had, this is crazy, 34.6 million views in its first 6 days.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds like a lot.
That's the biggest debut ever for a Netflix animated film.
That's
so
nice.
that's, I mean, as long as you have a big piece of the merch, you're okay.
Oops.
Somehow I do. Lorne!
Somewhere in Maine.
A blueberry farm just got a little
bigger.
It's
a blueberry farm, right?
Yeah, it's a massive blueberry farm.
The...
And also, this is like, we have to do it because we all do Lorne voices and make Lorne jokes, but you and I would be completely unknown to anyone, to everybody, if it weren't for Lorne Michaels. So
without a doubt.
We love him to death.
We love him to death.
But we love doing his voice.
We love doing his voice. The blueberries.
And that he has a giant blueberry farm in Maine.
So it's like, the blueberries, we don't sell the blueberries because they're ripe. We sell them because it's 11:30 on Saturday night.
Well, Robert, I should probably wrap this up, but there's got to be a part 2.
Yes.
At some point, because. But thank you for doing this. I love you. You changed my life.
You're the best.
You keep changing it, ruining it, but also making it better.
Then changing it back.
Yep. Fixing, smashing, and then
enjoy. I want you to be happy. For you should be. I can't believe you could even say that you're still nervous. You are.
I'm not nervous,
but it's like I'm so happy for you because I think it's. Can I take 2 seconds to just remember? Okay, so I remember like that summer, Conan would do these practice shows. 1993, I'm talking again, and like Dino, like a couple of writers would be out there, and there's no audience. And Conan would just be so fucking funny, just relaxed on stage. And there was a part of me that was like, why do we have to have an audience? Why do we even have to have an audience? It's just going to get in the way. And, he figured it out and obviously had an amazing career on late night television. But this show is everything that you are. It's so amazing. We get to see how smart you are and thoughtful and spontaneously funny. And I'm over the moon for you that you have this and how popular it is. And I know you're happy. I am. I'm very blessed. I do wish one thing sometimes, which is I wish there had been a camera or a recording going on in the writers' rooms over the years, because I'll always think that was my best work was after a late night show.
in a room talking about
entertaining the writers. Yeah.
I would do whole shows for the writers.
Yeah.
And
that's true.
That's my best work, and it will never be known. And but that's okay. It's it's fine. This is really close to that. Anyway. Love you. Everyone has already seen Leo twice by these metrics, but everyone go see it 9 times, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Mazel.
Thank you. Mazel.
Mazel.
I'm filled with mazel.
There's so much to talk about, but we got to start with the dog. We just have to, because one of the things, it was the first thing that I loved about the dog, and it's still the thing I love the most about the dog, are the eyes.
I know.
The eyes of the dog.
They're just dead and crazy at the same time.
Everything, the writing has always been spectacular.
And a lot of writers help me, always.
The voice was always a crazy choice. We should tell people the origin story, because it came out of this thing we were doing on the show, which was a talent show.
Yes.
And there was a fake... the idea was maybe there'll be this talent show, and we'll use whatever we have to do.
It all came out of this insane, directive we created for the show, and I was a mantra that I drove the writers crazy with, which was just like, we're not going to do any found humor.
Right.
Like, I was obsessed with, we're not going to copy Dave Letterman, because we worship this guy. Even when we were at Saturday Night Live, we secretly knew that Dave's show was the coolest show on TV.
Yeah.
And as much as I loved Conan and believed in him, I just thought nobody can do stuff that Dave's doing.
Right.
Including remotes, which shows what a shitty producer I was. I was like, Conan can't do remotes because Dave doesn't. And I've seen Pat Sajak do it, and Pat Sajak's as good as Conan, and he failed.
Who can follow Sajak?
Yeah. If Sajak can't do it, how can my best friend do it? Yeah. It's impossible. No,
we had, because I remember even before the show started, we would talk a lot about the almost like we had these rules. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it was, there was don't do anything that Dave had done, but also I didn't think that was as big a worry, because we both loved cartoons too much.
No, we were naturally suited to what we wanted to do.
We naturally wanted to do very silly, strange things that were, but even when we used to do actual items, and it was the first piece we ever did on the show, which was our shot across the bow.
Yes.
Because Jay would do the thing where he'd go, oh, and I see this here. This, it was just real ads from like Sears and Roebuck and this.
And in fairness, that was small town news from Dave.
Yeah.
Jay borrowed.
He borrowed it.
I borrowed it.
I just borrowed it. It's all
Dave
fine.
can have it back. Dave can have it back. He just can't do the Tonight Show, but he can have it back anytime he wants.
He can have it anytime he wants. I love doing Jay's.
Dave invented headlines all of a sudden. Dave invented it.
So
sorry.
He did. No. You do it. You do it, because I'm, whatever. But
whatever.
We did a fake one of those where we would just hold up. I don't even remember what they were, but we had everybody writing them, and some of them were so dark, but they were hilarious. We would alter these ads, and then it would be, like I would say, we've talked about this, but we would say, because I always loved this bit, and it would say, look at this, it's for nice trampoline that kids can play on, blah, blah, blah. But look at over here, and in the corner there'd be a Charles Manson saying,
what's it there for?
Yeah, and I'd be like, what's Charles Manson? And just always Charles Manson saying something like, it's my favorite trampoline to murder to. Whatever. It didn't make, they were much funnier than that, but it was, and then I would be incredulous. And
you guys would always say, you can't make this stuff up.
You can't make this stuff up. And if you wanted to, and then I'd go too far. If you wanted to and had writers and a graphics department.
That was the first bit we did. And Lauren really wanted that on the first show.
Yeah. Lauren Michaels.
Yes. Yeah. Lauren Michaels from television.
And now from everything.
I'm everywhere.
I make clothes.
I'm right here. Hi, everybody. I'm right here.
Do you have my leisure suit?
Conan, do you really want to go with those sneakers? He's under the table.
I want to take people back in time to when I first met you, would be 1988, the very beginning of 1988.
Yeah.
My writing partner, Greg Daniels, and I get hired to come in to work at SNL. We're petrified. Yes. And I remembered finding there was just this natural thing where I gravitated towards you and Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah.
and who's now the Jacques-Claude Van Damme.
I always knew.
We always knew.
That
we always knew that guy.
That guy's gonna
have a John Wick franchise.
He's gonna have a stunt man, and yeah.
But and then we started naturally just all goofing around together. And then I think the thing that was really life-changing for me is that you, a few years before, had done a show in Chicago, a stage show, and the writer's strike hit, and you and Odenkirk were talking.
Yes.
And you said, hey, we might go to Chicago and do a stage show with sketches that are too weird to get on SNL.
Right.
And then you guys asked me, would I come along? I was thrilled. I had a 1973 Plymouth Valiant that I flew to LA, which is where my car was, and I drove my car to Chicago by myself. And the car kept overheating, like it's that old movie Duel.
Oh, yeah.
It would overheat
right.
on hills,
Spielberg
and I would have to
movie,
pull it
yeah.
over. And by the way, I think he was driving also a similar car.
Was he?
I would pull it over, and the steam would, and then it would calm down, and I had things of water, and I would pour them in, and I made my way to Chicago, and that was where that changed things for me, because I thought, I love this. I love working with these guys.
Right.
I love that we're doing a stage show in Chicago. I loved that summer. The whole thing was magical.
Yeah, no, I still feel like my years in Chicago before I even got Saturday Night Live are like professionally in some way the happiest years of my whole life. Just being in total control of your own show, and just, I love the city of Chicago too, obviously, but yeah, no, we loved you so much when we met you. You're such a funny guy. And Bob and I thought I was going to get fired from Saturday Night Live in the summer of '86. I did one season at SNL, and I just barely hung on. And Franken called me over the summer. And
Al Franken, yeah.
It's not looking good. I don't know. It's just a lot of people are, it was a hard year. And you know who really was funny? Swartzwelder. Remember what he wrote? Anyway, I'm sorry. It's just, So, but then Lauren called me in at the last minute. But Odenkirk and I were developing a sketch show that summer. We were going to call it Sketchcom 90 or something. And that's like where I first had the idea for the year 2000 sketch, which we ended up doing on Happy Good Show.
We did it in Chicago in 1988.
Yeah.
And we would all stand there and in the year 2000.
Yes.
And then we would make these insane predictions about what was then the future.
Yes. It was all based on this Jetsons concept in the 60s that 60s kids grew up with, which was the idea that like the space age is coming. Like by the year 2000, it had so much mystique to it. And then as we got closer to the year 2000, it was quite clear that it was going to be
well, then the
very
awkward
disappointing.
thing was doing it still. I mean, late night, late night, despite everyone's predictions.
Yes.
Kept going and going and going and lasted and actually started, worked. And then we were doing it. And then it is the year 2000.
And the year 2004.
And we kept thinking, do we need to change like in the distant future? And I said, no. It's just got to still be in the year 2000.
It's so funny that
and
it
then
never
it's like
changed.
In 2006, I'm like, it's time to look into the future all the way to the year 2000. But it's a good problem to have. So we did that show together, and we worked together a lot at SNL. And the one thing I remembered is feeling very much like you could finish my sentence and I could finish your sentence. I
only connected with a few writers in my years there, like really connected in different ways. Dana was one of them, Dana Carvey, and not as a performer almost, because I love doing silly voices and impressions. And so we wrote a lot of like musical impression kind of sketches like McLaughlin and Regis and things like that, and Johnny Carson. And then Conan, I connected in a completely different way. We had this, we just saw people from a distance, and we were able to kind of like reduce everybody to a cartoon.
Yes. Yeah. Because over the years, people have said your biggest comedic influences, and it's so cool to say, well, I would watch, old clips of Ernie Kovacs, and that really, and it's like, no, it's not true. Nothing inspired me more than Warner Brothers cartoons.
Oh, God.
So that the idea of anything can be alive, which then Paul Rubens used so brilliantly in Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Oh yeah.
The idea that everything chair is cherry.
Yes.
But
this is a thing I've done 1,000 times in comedy and I can never pronounce it.
Anthropomorphize.
Anthropomorphize.
And even the word anthropomorphize can be a character. Hi, I'm anthropomorphizing. What's up, anthropomorphizing? But you.
Why are you so damn hard to pronounce?
That's just me, I guess. What up and up, up, bow. Triumph comes out of this, sketch doing on the show,
right.
And
you
come in with this dog whose talent is he's an insult comic.
Yes.
And then I think what we have to do, which I have to give you credit for, is two things. The choice of the puppet is exceptional. And I, like I say, the fact that the puppet has kind of a realistic face, but the eyes are
funny.
are dead.
Yes.
And so he says these jokes and stares. And I think, not unlike why I often found Norm Macdonald so funny, is Norm could make his eyes go dead.
Yes.
And just kind of stare at you after he said a joke. And I do think that Triumph has that. I look into those puppet eyes and I can watch it forever.
I know.
But the other thing is the voice. Because anybody else doing it who had that idea of, oh yeah, it's a dog who's an insult comic, would have done Borscht Belt. Hey, you over there. What are you, sock? Armenia. Hey, well, Armenia, is that even a country? Sounds like a kind of diarrhea,
What?
That's a good one. Write it down.
Oh, no, don't write it down.
Yeah, it's really good.
You don't have
Armenia,
to write it down.
diarrhea.
Side of.
Yeah, but anyway,
Right.
What I'm saying is that's what anybody else would have done. Robert is the only person I know who would have done, I think it's an old Russian Jewish woman. Am I correct?
I had grandparents that were first generation immigrants, who escaped Russia and they actually emigrated to China first.
They'd be so proud of what you've done.
They were.
We must escape persecution
so
Robert can turn us
generations may be able to witness a realistic looking puppet have sex with a live animal. On television, and she's like,
"Oh yes,
oh yes, what is this television?" Well, it's going to be a thing, starting with Milton Berle.
They're trying to kill us, but if we can escape,
then
maybe one of our
grandchildren will contribute.
Will turn us into a horny puppet.
To the world. Yeah, I have to credit my wife, because she's the one who. So I found Triumph on this rack of whimsical puppets that were when we were newlyweds and we were hunting for furniture at a country store, and we saw this, and the puppet was so funny to me, these dog puppets, and there was a sheep and a cat. So I immediately put on one of the dog puppets, sniffed her ass with it in the room, in the furniture store. And of course she found it funny because she's the perfect woman for me. And then she surprised me in February, 2 months later after we were married, with 7 of these puppets. And that's what gave me the idea for this Westminster thing. And Dave was having Westminster dogs run up and down the aisles of the Ed Sullivan Theater. Very Dave, very found humor.
Yeah.
And I was like, so
our version of that.
Our version is make it up.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's
I remember that. And then I remember early on, before there were remotes, we'd have guests on and Triumph would roast them. And we would always
catharsis for the audience.
Yeah. And so Triumph would be over behind this little stand. And then and I would have interviewed the guest already, and then they go after the guest. Yeah. And I'll never forget, guests would say yes to it, not knowing what it was. Simon Cowell is on. It's the height of
the first couple of years of American Idol.
Maybe the first year of American Idol.
He was the biggest thing.
He was huge.
He was huge.
And he comes on the show, and we said, "Do you mind?" And he went, "Oh no, please, whatever it is you chaps do, go ahead. I'll just be here with my too tight T-shirt." And so I interview him. It goes, we have a nice interview, and then we come back and I go, "Oh, and look, there's someone here to say hi to you, Simon," and then you come on and he doesn't know what's happening. You rip into him and he's chuckling. The crowd's going crazy laughing because this is the beginning of Triumph Mania. The crowd's going crazy laughing. You're ripping into him and he's watching. And then when it's over, I say, we'll take a break. We'll be right back. And he turns to me and he's covered in sweat. He was covered in sweat and he said, that was rough. And I, like a guy who had just been beaten with a stick.
So funny. And then later I saw him afterward and I was like, was that okay? And he had come to understand by then. He was like, no, this would be good for me. In some way would be able to show that I can laugh at myself.
And blood came out of a tear with blood in it. Yeah. But then it was really fun because before the remotes that Triumph did,
he was already
it was people
popular,
sitting there, and so it was all these great people would sit there, and this puppet would go
or
after.
semi-great people.
Well, please, at the time,
John Tesh,
I love John Tesh.
I love him too.
I'll go to the mat for John Tesh, but anyway, you would go after him, and then you go to do a remote. Westminster Dog Show, and of course, I think Chilemi goes with you.
No, it was the first one
was Jordan.
And we couldn't get in first because apparently Andy had done something at Westminster that they didn't like, so they weren't going to let us in. And I was like, okay, I guess we'll never do it. And if I'd never done it, maybe I would have never done a remote because that was the obvious one to do. It was Sweeney suggested, why don't you go to
Mike
Westminster
Sweeney said,
and hit on these dogs?
Yeah.
And
hump real dogs.
Yeah, because I'd been sort of doing it on the show.
Yeah.
But here's all these dogs, and I loved it. But so then Jordan creates this scam. He printed out all these fake NBC passes. He broke the law, and he figured out a side entrance. And he said it's not technically deception because we actually are NBC employees. It was very Jordan rationalization.
Yes.
But we got in, and it's all because of him that these remotes exist.
We tip our cap now to a man I professionally loathe.
Yes.
I've made a career, a fifth career out of being irritated by Jordan Schlansky.
Yes.
But no, in real life, he saved the day. And then, remotes come fast and furious, and then the iconic, crazy Star Wars remote where there's so many. And I remembered it was all still, again, before the internet, things couldn't go viral. But I remember the night we played that, the audience screaming and going wild and thinking, if there's only some way this can be replayed for everybody throughout all time. And fortunately, now there is.
No, but actually, it was the first thing on the show that did, because before YouTube, there was something called iFilm. Blair will know this because he's a pathetic nerd, right?
Yes, that's true.
Okay, perfect.
I remember this too. I watched this over and over and over.
On iFilm. Yeah. And they created the term viral video too.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. And so that is why everybody even knew it back then. It was the first thing on the show that was put on iFilm or whatever it was called. And it was the happiest experience I ever had doing Triumph because everybody was I don't really like making people unhappy.
Feel bad. No.
I know it's good television sometimes, especially if it's a person nobody likes, but it's so much more fun. These guys were fans of you. And they knew who Triumph was.
I think what makes
it was they wanted to meet Triumph. And it was like when I met Don Rickles.
What makes it so nice is that, because I'm the same way, if I think I've hurt someone's feelings, I don't sleep for 2 days. If I think they really got, know. And so I'm just saying that to appear nice, but
you must never sleep.
I sleep like a baby.
No, you know how he solved that? It was like an aversion therapy. He decided to be mean to everybody. And that way he got numb to it.
Yeah. My son, I'm just, everybody. And so, but I think the magic of that was all the people in line who you're making fun of for never seeing a woman, or which button do you push to have your mother come pick you up, whatever.
Andrew
all of those,
Secunda gave me that
they're
line.
all loving it, and that's the key and they're just delighted, and now they're part of history.
They're the funniest straight men that you could ask for, and the fact that they're enjoying it just made it just a mutual. Pooper and poopy united as one.
I mean, this is the thing where it gets tricky because I could reminisce with you
Yeah,
about all of this for maybe 15 hours and we would only scratch the surface. But something I just want to make sure that I get in here, that I state that you've gone on, you know, we worked together all those years and then we've continued to work together. We come back together, we work, we just did. I mean, one of the highlights of my recent life was you and I wrote Hans and Franz musical together with Dana Carvey and Kevin Nealon. And then it just got lost to time because it was never made.
Yes.
And of course, foolishly, we wrote it so that Schwarzenegger, rather than being a cameo, is in 9/10 of the movie. But we just, and then, you know, I don't think he ever considered it, or maybe he didn't even read it. And so all these years later, Schwarzenegger's sitting right where you're sitting right now.
I know.
And the first thing he says when he sits down is,
"It's unbelievable.
This I just read it. It's fantastic.
It's so funny when he comes to the buttock and he's like,
the buttock, the door." And he's telling me like, I don't know. The door is not the door. The buttocks opens.
Yes,
and
I know. No, you don't understand how funny it is.
Yeah, and then he's like, "We've got to do it." And you're like, "Wait, now?"
I know. Maybe AI. Maybe we create a young Arnold and a young Dana and Kevin, and then you can do
animation.
But you know, it was so funny because you're right. Arnold practically takes over the movie in the second half, and I forgot that. And so we're reading it, and I was like doing Arnold because I had done him on the Clutch Cargos. And suddenly I'm like, we're doing these scenes and it's just Dana and Kevin like looking at me. Because
we gave Arnold everything.
So much stuff
and
to
he
do.
was at the time the biggest, most impossible to get movie star in the world. And we write a script where it's not, he's a cameo and that's the fun thing at the end. And Arnold can shoot it on his way back from one of his other movies in an afternoon. He's dancing, he's singing, he's got a house made of buttocks muscles.
It was the best.
It was nice to see that come around. And you've been doing all this amazing work in comedy for all these years. But I have to celebrate that Leo, you wrote this movie, Leo, and it's an Adam Sandler animated film. And I saw it the other night and I was completely blown away. It is obviously funny, which I knew it would be, but it's also so sweet and so nuanced and has a great message. And I thought, well, this is a classic. And then I think yesterday I was told that it's the biggest animated hit already that Netflix has ever had. Like it's a complete smash. And I was practically crying. I'm so happy for you and for Adam. I wrote both of you guys.
Yeah.
Adam's lawyer got it.
Sandy Wernick got it. I don't know. I think we got to redline this thing. Let me give it a look to the lawyers and then we'll get back down.
It was. He was really funny because I called him. He ended up calling me after
Sandy
I wrote
Wernick?
him. No, not Sandy Wernick, but Adam. After I told him, I texted him. And I said, "Robert, I'm so happy for Robert. I'm so happy for you. It's so well done." And he calls me up and he was like, asking me about how my kids are doing and stuff like that. And then he was doing this whole riff because my son is very gifted at computers and he really loves computer engineering. So he's looking at a lot of engineering schools and a lot of like super scientific schools. And Adam was like saying, "Coney, I'll write him a letter. Those people love me." And I went as a joke and I was like, "It's okay, Adam." He's like, "It's already done. I took care of it, buddy. I'm going to send it to every engineering school." And I'm saying, "No, Adam. No. No, Adam." He's like, "These are my people." I was crying. I was laughing so hard. "Don't worry, Coney. He's going to be great."
Oh, he's the best.
Yeah, he's the best.
God damn.
I was, it's so funny because he does, the voice he does in this for Leo is so unique.
It's kind of Bernie.
Yes, it's Bernie Brillstein, the famous manager that we all knew and worked with, who he's kind of doing a Bernie Brillstein impression. But, what I do know is people don't understand that as in animation, the voice is everything. The voice is... The voice is more important than the actual animation because it's the soul of who the person is, I think, in a lot of ways. And that voice that he does is so unique and it really works beautifully.
It's like cranky and warm at the same time.
Yeah.
It's funny because like when I had written it we were about to do a table read, and I had told him a couple of days earlier, I kind of seeing like a Peter Falk kind of thing. And then like right before the read through, he says, buddy, I think I want to do Bernie. I was like, oh, okay, go for it. And then he killed it with the Bernie, and it was just a great instinct. It's very funny because he's done 3 movies that are impressions that I've taught him. the Sandy movie called Sandy Wexler.
Sandy Wexler, which is Sandy Wernick.
Yes, yeah. So he learned my Sandy Wernick. Bernie, I taught him years ago. You never fucking know. When we cast Alf, remember during Look Well? So Bernie was an executive producer of Look Well because Conan was with Brillstein Gray.
And let me back up, because sometimes we go fast.
Yeah.
And I want to bring people up to speed.
Yes.
But Robert came to me once when we were at SNL, and he said, because we both loved the 60s series Batman.
Adam West.
And he said to me, I have this idea. We've got to do something with Adam West. And we started talking about it. And he was saying, like, he's an out of work actor, but he solves crimes.
Still thinks he can solve crimes.
But because he made these shows, he thinks he can solve crimes. So you and I sat down and pretty quickly wrote this script.
Yes.
And we call the guy Ty Lookwell. And then
that was your name. Yeah, it was great.
And then we go on this quest to get Adam West to do it, and he does it. And we make it. And there's that's a whole saga in and of itself, because no one wanted us to make it, the network. But then finally,
Tartikoff got it.
But Brandon Tartikoff said,
I
get it. But then he left immediately. And
Oh, no.
So anyway.
In Lauren's getaway car.
Anyway, the important thing is that we made it. And so we make this pilot and we deliver it to the network. And you and I were so excited because we're on SNL. This is a bunch of years before late night. We think this is our ticket we really think this is our ticket to the top. We love it. Yeah. We think it's really ahead of its time. It's so cool. And Bernie, because you can do the voice, but I'll never forget this. Bernie we do it through his company. So we're over at Bernie Brillstein's company. He's this big guy, looks like he's a Jewish Santa Claus.
Yes.
And he's
Santa Claus, Cowardly Lion.
Santa Claus, Cowardly Lion. Yeah. He wears all black because he thinks it's slimming.
It's fucking slimming.
So anyway, we're in his office and he's telling us this thing is going to go through the roof.
Adam is going to test through the fucking roof.
It's going to be huge. It's going to be big. And he's in the midst of this long rant about how he knows show business, he knows TV, and this thing's going to go all the way. And you guys have to start figuring out now which mansions you want to live in Beverly Hills. He's going on and on and on. When his assistant says, a phone call from the network, Bernie goes, put it through.
Rick Ludwin,
so they put it through, and all we can hear is Bernie's side of it. So Robert and I are just flying high, and he gets on the phone, and the first thing he goes, what? What the fuck?
Yes.
And then
he starts sabotaging. This is the best. Because he also managed Lorne Michaels.
Yeah.
And Lorne Michaels had 2 projects, Look Well, because he was, and he also had a Jack Handy pilot based on Toonsis the Cat. It was a collection of Jack Handy sketches, and Toonsis was the glue to it. And so Rick Ludwin is telling Bernie that, Look Well didn't test terrific with our crew. And that's fucking insane. Adam, this is a fucking genius fucking script. And then, what do you fucking say? Toonsis. Yeah, we're thinking of, Toonsis might make it. Toonsis might make the September schedule. Are you fucking kidding me? That thing is gonna fucking tank. You're gonna put that thing on.
And that's his client,
it's
too.
Also his client.
That's also his client.
But Bernie but Brillstein Gray wasn't producing Toonsis.
Well, it doesn't matter.
No, it mattered to Bernie.
Lawrence's big meal ticket, and he's like, boy, Long can't find his ass with 3 hands. and it's just, but anyway, the point is, you and I are sitting there, these kids.
Yes.
And all we hear is, what? And the first thing he said was, it's the first thing you screened after lunch? People are digesting!
One thing I wanted to bring up was last year we lost one of the most important people that ever worked on the show, Bill Tull.
Yes, Bill Tull was a legendary prop master who looked, just if you want a visual, Bill Tull started with us and was with us for years and years and years and years. And Bill Tull looked like a Nordic god. I mean, very tall, incredible build, incredibly handsome face.
Yeah.
And then we started using him in sketches, so you could look him up
later on. Yeah, he
later
did very
on,
funny
but
sketches
long,
on the
long
TBS show.
white hair.
Yeah.
And he looked like you could put him in a Thor costume and he could say, "You trespass here." I mean, he had that amazing
look. He
look.
had a deep voice too, yeah.
But he would do anything.
He would do anything. And at that point in the show, like, you know, sometimes it felt like we were almost at war because there were people on the staff who just were like, why are we doing this fucking key screen behind the band or whatever weird thing?
We were trying all this
to
weird
do.
stuff.
Trying all this stuff. And then there were people like Frank, like who would do anything and think of idea. I got something for Alex Rocco. You're going to love it, whatever. And Bill Tull, I remember, I'll just tell one quick Bill story. Like, so the Rangers won the Stanley Cup in 1994. And so I had this idea to have like a running around Stanley Cup, like a live Stanley, because anthropomorphize.
The Stanley Cup has come to life and is dancing around in our studio.
And of course, because I was, a big baby, I wanted a giant Stanley Cup, but to have like tighty whities visible at the bottom. So the legs are really cute, but he's wearing tighty whities and it's kind of disturbing.
Yeah.
But I had this idea literally at like 2 a.m. and like Brian Leach from the Rangers was going to be on the show the next day. And so I call, and the writers were all there laughing about this. And I call like the wardrobe department and like, what the fuck are you talking about?
That's not going to happen.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
And then I call Bill Tull. He's like, okay. So we'll, you want me to build like a whole thing? Okay. So it's like 8 levels. How many levels are there? And it's like 3 a.m. And so he gets right to work. And then the only thing that he can't figure out is the Stanley Cup has like this bowl, this big silver bowl on top. So Bill Tull calls the Rainbow Room, finds out that they have a silver bowl. He goes up there.
Which is, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know, one of the most swanky,
yes,
like incredible elite places. Rich people have their weddings in the Rainbow Room.
Yeah.
So he goes to the Rainbow Room.
To the Rainbow Room. Hey, you guys got a silver bowl? I need it for a guy wearing underwear. A Stanley Cup thing, and so the guy, he gets the manager of the place and like, well, we kind of need that bowl. Listen, what can I do? How can I get the silver bowl? And literally the guy says, well, there's a kind of hot security guard downstairs, and if you can get me her number, set me up so I can call her, I'll give you the bowl. Oh. So he goes down to the ground floor.
Of course he does.
Talks to the security guard lady. Says there's a guy in the Rainbow Room, and he gets the number, and he goes back upstairs and comes back with the bowl. And this is like on No Sleep.
No Sleep.
And this is and the whole point is that like
that was the spirit of the show.
That was the spirit of the show. And like Chilemi's here, another long time.
Well, I call Chills the warrior because he's still. I shoot things now. I'm in different countries for this thing I'm doing for HBO Max. And
he's
who's
another
there?
one.
Chills. He was there.
Yeah. He gets it.
But one of the things was really this. I'll say this, and then because we have so much to talk about.
I'm sorry.
But we were always don't be sorry.
Okay.
We were always. This is just going to have to be a 7-hour episode, but we were always. This is what I remember about Bill Tull was we needed some kind of crazy looking thing that basically was going to look like an animal skeleton, but it had a clock for a head or something. And so at rehearsal, they reveal this thing, and it looks kind of perfect, and I'm like, wow, how did you fake this animal skeleton? No. And Bill's like, oh, yeah, well, I went upstate New York. I knew a guy who, he has a farm, and he told me where all the animals are buried. So he went out at night with a shovel and dug around till he found a dead sheep, and he dug up all the bones and reassembled it for the prop.
Just beyond belief.
I mean, literally, he's a ghoul in the night. The giant moon behind him and a silhouette of him digging and then assembling bones.
And then he just talks about this matter-of-factly on, it's the best episode of Inside Conan. You should listen to it. Bill and his partner, John Rao. And, the whole point is that, like, it was such a struggle that first year. It was the best job, most exciting job I ever had, but it was such a struggle. The network doubting us, and
we had them. You know what I remember very clearly? If there are 5 things you need to have a successful television show, meaning the network's behind you, The critics like you.
Yeah.
The numbers are strong, and then like a couple of other things. We had none of those things. We had absolutely. I remembered sitting around going, let's see, what are the things you need? And then making a list of the 5 and going, nope.
All we had was a great show. We did have a great host.
Was really nice.
Sidekick.
You know, was really nice. Was that we made it to that first summer, and suddenly colleges got out.
Yeah,
and all of a sudden, we had these audiences that were fine, and if we did something really funny, they would laugh. But it was always touch and go. And then suddenly, I walked out. Would have been June of 1994 after this slog, this crazy slog, which started the summer before and went all the way into the following summer. So it was a solid year of no sleeping, always worrying, people on the street telling me to drop dead, you know.
Oh my God.
And
those were network executives, by the way. It's just, I thought it was bad form, but
they were worried I didn't get the message.
It'll make them stronger. It's okay.
He's over there. He's in Central Park South. Get him. Thanks, Lauren. No problem. It'll toughen him up. Now about my money.
My getaway car needs a better driver.
So, but I remember that walking out one day to do the warm-up, because I would do the warm-up before the show. And I came out to do the warm-up, and the minute the crowd saw me, they were, yes!
Yeah.
Whoa! And I was looking behind me, like, is Jerry Seinfeld standing behind me? What's happening? It was really spectacular.
What else is interesting? All these people who were criticizing you, I realize now they were not the audience.
No.
Like, because I've spoken to people since who like talk about you in the first year, and they're like, I loved him the first year. Yeah, he was a little nervous, but it was all from just humility of being excited to be on television.
Right.
He was so sweet. And these were just like the silent section of the audience that didn't have, access to the internet or whatever was going on back then.
There was no internet.
No, I mean, there was barely.
It would have been nice if there was an internet.
Yeah, there was like a Usenet forum that we all obsessed on at some point. But yeah, I mean, and there was an audience from the beginning.
Well,
we just didn't know.
We hear it now.
Yeah,
because I hear it from the haters and the not
right.
the haters,
no,
the Bill haters and the Mulaney's and all these people that say, "Oh, I loved it," and my response is always the same, which is, "Why couldn't you have
been famous then?
Why couldn't you have been as famous then as you are now? And you could have said something."
I know.
But they were 11.
Well, we did have Dave, who came on the show.
Yeah, Dave
Letterman,
came on the show.
That was the biggest thing that ever happened.
Yeah, that was February of '94. That was huge.
Yes, and he said it backstage, and then he said it to your face, which is what really mattered on television, how great the show was. And that changed took a lot of pressure off of that. But the last thing I want to say about Bill, just in general.
Bill Tull.
Yeah. Just that, like, for people who work on a show like this or any movie set, you could have the opinion that, my job's not that important. There's a finite amount of effect that I can have on a show. But like, it's not true. If people are supportive of the creative people at the top and they give off that vibe that they believe in you and that they, and that they'll do anything for you, like Bill and other people from that staff, it makes an enormous difference.
Yeah, and I say, and not to embarrass him because I know he's right outside this door because he still works with us, but, Jason Shalemi, who you mentioned, is the same kind of person who started with us as an intern. But I swear to God, if Jason thought if he sensed that it was important for us doing something comedically, whether it's now for the podcast or for a travel show I'm doing for HBO Max, whatever, and it involved him getting shot at.
It's just Max now.
Yeah.
Get with the program.
Okay, whatever. I like to throw the HBO in to let people know
that it's it's actually quality. That it's not pornography.
When you just say Max, people think, oh, well, it's people fucking,
so I can whack off to this?
Yeah.
I've never been able to whack off to Conan. This is exciting. He's really evolved, like they say.
His porn is so creative. All the furniture in the room is talking, too. The guy and the girl are going at it, and then the couch is like, yeah, what a schlong. Quiet, couchy. I'm losing my concentration. But
I like that porn with anthropomorphic props.
Well, wow, he's really giving it to her. Shut up, alarm clock.
The pizza's watching.
The pizza's watching and rubbing its nipples, which are giant.
Finally, I have a line.
Which the pizza's rubbing its pepperoni nipples.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. New meaning to the word food porn.
Yeah, exactly. But no, if Jason thought it was important, and he, I was just with him. We were shooting in South America, and he's like, I think if he thought this was important to me or somehow important to the comedy, but it involved him running across a firing line where actual ammunition is being shot, he would do it. Yeah. And which is my point is that he's stupid. No,
he's a moron. He's complete.
My point is that he
makes you like this. The last day I was on the show, I had to give a speech, which was painful as can be, because I loved the show so much. And I remember saying, I thanked everybody, and I said, there are people in this room who have said Conan and I have inspired them to do great work. And I just wanted to tell everybody, you inspired us. Yeah. And that's really true. A guy like Jason, a guy like Bill.
So many people who...
they have your back, and it makes all the difference in the world.
And I do think in light of, it's a great message too, that people... in the light of all these strikes and everything, and people say, well, it just comes down to commerce and money. And yes, is money part of it? Of course it is. But when you see the level of, when people get excited creatively, and then other people around them, whether it's people working cameras, pulling cables, but they're excited too, and they're kind of going the extra mile to make it happen.
Such a difference.
And then it becomes kind of like a religious experience in a weird way.
Yes.
It becomes spiritual, and you were making something, and then you get the money. And you don't share it with anybody. You've done something that is pretty extraordinary. You've made a movie, and you made a movie that's about you and your father. Mm-hmm. And it's called About My Father. And as I mentioned earlier, so much to talk about here, but you did an extraordinary thing. You cast, and when I say cast, it'd make it sound like De Niro was hoping he got the part.
He auditioned.
Try it again, Bob. Bob, try it again. Bob, it's between you and two other guys, but I think you did a pretty good job. You get Robert De Niro to play your dad. Now, how surreal is this? It's got to be surreal for you, but what about your father? What does your father think about Robert De Niro playing him?
Yeah. So we wrote the movie. My writing partner, Austin Earl, and I wrote the movie. We kind of have the same pattern of life in the sense that we both married into money. Mm-hmm. And we've always kind of wrote about this life of two guys who kind of married a better cut of cloth in our wives. Mm-hmm. So the movie kind of centers around my father and I going to a country club environment, which I do every summer. My wife, family has a home in North Carolina that we go to. Country club, very white. When I show up, I look like I cut the lawn. I'm dark. You know what I'm saying? So
sometimes you do cut the lawn, just because you're like, I think I could do that better than that guy.
So it's just kind of these two worlds kind of colliding. The movie centers around that. But De Niro, listen, we never set out to get him. We didn't write the movie with him in mind. You just don't even think that's a possibility, right? And then once I worked with him on The Irishman, and then he subsequently came to see me do comedy at Radio City Music Hall. He came backstage. We talked a little bit. And I'm sure you've met the man. He's not like highly engaging as far as conversation. He's kind of quiet to himself. So it's not like, we had wine together. I don't have wine with nobody. So it's not like we had like a social relationship, but we sent him the script and he really gravitated towards it, and he wanted to read it out loud with a bunch of actors. So we sat down, we did a table read. And then after that, he made the decision that he wanted to do it. Now, De Niro, being the actor that he is, wanted to hang out with my dad.
Wow.
Right? Now,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Because he's method. He wants to... this is about your dad. He wants to spend time with your dad and absorb this man's characteristics.
Yeah. So they get on the phone, and he wants him to come to Oklahoma, where De Niro is shooting the movie with Scorsese and DiCaprio. And my dad, who's a hairstylist, is going to go. First, he's bitching that he's got to take off work.
For this bullshit.
Yeah, you believe this? I got a dye job and a blowout on Friday.
He has priorities.
So he goes to Oklahoma, and he goes to De Niro's home there that he's rented for the movie. And De Niro's asking him, when you wear your hat, how you wear your hat? And my father's like, oh, I wear it like this. And when you smoke a cigar, how do you smoke it? Then he wanted to know some Italian, Sicilian slang that De Niro wanted to put in there. And and I'm dying to hear how this is going. I mean, you have to understand, this is a guy that had posters on my wall growing up, De Niro.
Of course, yeah.
Casino, Goodfellas. My dad and I watched this guy, and now he's playing my father. So for me, I'm trying to wrap my head around it. So afterwards, I said, you got to call me as soon as you get out of there. All right? So he calls me. I go, how was it? How was it? Guy kept me there 4 hours. My dad's bitching about the hours.
Wow.
Then he's asking me, am I getting paid for this? Am I getting like a little something for this? I go, Dad, I don't.
That's so perfect.
Listen, he was beside himself.
Yeah.
But, there's also that, way we grew up of,
Sure.
I'm going to lose clients and I'm here and this and that and the other thing. Then he's on set. Because De Niro wanted him on set, because there's a scene in the movie where we're in a hair salon, and De Niro, being the actor that he is, wanted to know how to do a dye job with the foil. Mm-hmm. So my dad is teaching De Niro the foil and this and that. And I'm looking at this going, the salon looked like the salon I grew up in with my father. And now he's teaching De Niro how to do hair. And I'm like, I was just so proud that my dad was alive to see this all going down, right? So De Niro didn't want him to leave the set. Like, where are you going? He's like, I gotta go back to work. We don't go back to work. Hey, tomorrow we got another scene. And Dad's like, I got a perm. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah. So now that they want to use my father in a lot of this promotion that we're doing for the movie. Mm-hmm. So we're doing, my father and I are going on Kimmel together. Right. And, this is like, my father's really excited about him being involved in the press.
Yeah.
Which I was nervous about, because my father's the type of guy where when we're hanging around a group of people, he's the life of the party. As soon as the camera pops on him, he kind of goes into a shell. However, we did a press event in Las Vegas, and they were asking him questions, and I was like, well, this guy's like, my dad speaks broken English because, he's from Sicily, and he's answering questions. I'm like, this guy, do we need a camera on him to speak proper English? I mean,
oh, suddenly
he's like pronouncing words right.
Right.
So
he's another enunciator. We got another enunciator. That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So, we shot the movie in Alabama, which was difficult for me just because I got 2 small kids. I was going to be there for 8 weeks. And, I was wrestling with like, oh God, again, me overthinking things. This is a great opportunity, yes, but then I'm also thinking I should be home. I'm a father. What the hell am I doing in Alabama? Got to be with my kids. But
I don't know what you're talking about. That's all bullshit.
No,
those kids do better when I'm not around. They thrive when I'm out. Yeah, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a family guy. So anyway, it was an unbelievable experience. It was a acting lesson for me for 7-8 weeks, however long we shot this movie. There was a time where I had to cry. Now, listen, I'm a sensitive guy. I could cry, in just conversation. But to do it like in a movie, I never did this before. And now I'm doing it with arguably one of the best actors of our time. He comes, right? And when he's supposed to cry in the scene, he's crying, right? And I ain't crying. I go, where is it? It ain't coming. And I'm looking at him like almost like a fan. I go, this guy's crying on cue?
Can't you just grab one of his tears? That's what I would do. The minute no one's looking, get a De Niro tear.
Yeah, I was hoping I could get some spill off. But and then they said, cut, and then did it again, still didn't cry. And then I told him, I go, bro, I got to talk to you, man. I need help here. So me and him privately go, there was an airplane scene. We go into the airplane together. And I go, I can't get there. And he goes, well, I didn't know, I was going to tell you, I'm going to give you some advice, but I didn't know your process. I go, hey, there ain't no process, guy. I'm just hoping this clicks in soon. There's no method or nothing like that. I'm just doing the lines, hoping I can get sad.
Yeah. That is the method, actually.
So
he gave you advice?
Yeah, no, he's like, what I do is I think of my son, and he in telling me the story, he starts crying.
Oh my God.
Now I'm crying because he's crying about talking about his son. I go, I got to use this. And I get out of the plane, and I'm supposed to be out of breath during the scene. Now, I got sciatica ripping through my right leg, right? And I don't really run because of the pain. Now I'm running, crying with sciatica on a tarmac, trying to get out of breath, right? So I come into the scene, and I'm crying already, but I'm not supposed to be. But I'm like, fuck it. This,
Use this.
Edit it.
Yeah.
I'm bawling throughout this. Cut. All right, we're going to do it again, guy. That's all I got. We're going to do it again. We're going to do this 9 times.
You need to rehydrate.
Hi, my name is Albert Brooks, and I feel confused that I'm asked to do something I was asked 40 years ago by some disc jockey on KHJ, dawn in the morning. And I guess nothing's ever changed.
No.
So I'm confused about being Conan O'Brien's friend.
Oh my God.
We bought the rights from that disc jockey.
Hi, I'm Rob Reiner, and I feel almost honored.
Yes.
To be Conan O'Brien's friend.
That's so close to being a real statement from both of you. There's no way around this, so I'll get it out of the way. I've done, how many of these have I done, Adam? 520, how many? This is it's a big day for me. I'm totally in love with both of you guys and your incredible body of work. And so the fact that you're here talking to me is a huge deal. And that's pretty much all the time we have. I think we should wrap it up there because these are two men that don't want to be complimented, especially Albert.
I have a hard time with
That's
it.
Barry Sanders. I want to be complimented.
You want to? You're incredible, Albert. What can I say?
I think the same, Albert.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to say, there's a lot to talk about here. I wanted to start because it just happened. We just lost Norman Lear. I know you guys both knew this man very well. And for you, Rob, he was like a second dad.
He was.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm very lucky that I had 2 role models in my life that I could look up to and I learned from. I mean, I met Norman when I was a little kid, and he tells a story. I don't remember it, but he tells me that I was teaching his daughter. I was playing with his daughter who was 8 years old. We were both 8 and we were playing jacks. And I was teaching her how to play, giving her the rules to jacks. And apparently I was doing it in a funny way. I didn't know. And he told my father, he said, your kid is really funny. And my dad said, really? That sullen child of mine? He can't be that funny. So Norman was the first guy to recognize.
Can I say how times have changed?
Yeah.
Because That's how long ago it was that the thing was, oh, your kid is so funny playing jacks. Today, nothing said about a kid with a little girl is ever good.
But wait a minute.
If you call your dad...
It's a very creepy comment.
Yeah, but Albert, we were both 8. I wasn't
matter.
like 24 and she was 8.
You were advanced for your age.
And your line for much of your adult life is, do you want to play jacks?
As my
That's been your
uncle
line.
used to say, you're old enough to be canceled.
You know, it's one of the things about these really funny people that occurs to me sometimes is first of all, Norman was he 101?
101, yeah.
Absolutely unbelievable. And of course, your father, Carl, lived
98, yeah.
And I was at some event, and this is maybe 2 years ago, and Norman was talking, and he talked about this longevity thing with comedians, and he said, I swear to God, people always ask us, it's something about laughing all the time.
He said
wait a minute. Henry Kissinger?
Yeah. Have you been?
He was
very
a
funny.
riot.
He was very
The man
funny.
was very funny.
Very funny. He laughed every day.
I saw him once at the Improv.
And how did he do?
He did that same Vietnam bit.
Yeah.
Did he get any laughs?
I told them the Pueblo was real. They didn't believe. Laugh. And then he did audience work.
Have you? Yes, I was going to say his crowd work was spectacular.
Where are you from?
But
where are you from?
You called out the sweater.
You have papers?
So the point is, if you laugh every day, you live a very long time. I think that's maybe.
I don't know.
And also you have to have
think
good
of people
genes.
we know, contemporaries that are no longer with us that laughed. I don't think it's any of that.
Right.
I think it's lucky.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I tried to say a sweet, positive thing.
Yeah, and
Albert took me out at the knees.
Albert put a damper on it.
Yeah. So you guys put together that first Weezer album, and it's a huge success. That's the time that I encounter you. And do you remember that now as like a really happy time? Some people have a hard time digesting that kind of success. It was a huge deal.
Yeah. I don't know if that was particular to our generation, but it seemed like a whole lot of bands tried their best to make it. And when they finally made it, they became very miserable and felt like this was the last thing they wanted. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that still happens to young artists, but seemed like it happened to a lot of ours.
Did it happen to you guys?
Yeah. After a year on tour, I was like, screw this. And I went back to college.
That's right. It's what the thing that you hated about it was touring, repetition, being on a bus, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it was utterly mind numbing and boring, and just singing the same songs over and over, and there's tons of travel, packing, unpacking, and none of it was interesting. Mm-hmm. And I just craved some kind of intellectual stimulation, so I went back to school. You and I were at the same college, different times, but you went to you applied to Harvard when you're already a rock star. Is that correct? Yeah, we were on tour. And
with a monster hit album, and you decide, and this is what a lot of rock stars do. They have a monster hit, and they say, you know what? I think it's time to apply to an Ivy League school.
Yeah, we were playing Boston, so I just went up to the campus and got an application and filled it out, and I couldn't believe it, but they accepted me. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people right now going, wait, what? I went in, it's like you applied for a job at CVS. So you get accepted, and suddenly you're at Harvard. Don't people know that, oh shit, that guy over there who's in my Ec 10 class and who I just saw getting veal parmesan at the Adams House dining room, he's a rock star. Did they know? Not until the last day of school. because most of our fans at that time were like 10 years old, literally. Mm-hmm. We connected to a very young group of kids, and it wasn't really like a college audience.
Right.
Also, it's kind of hard to remember, but at that time there was no sense of like me as the front man or like famous or anything. It was more, people knew the name Weezer and they knew a couple songs, but that was about it. And I grew a very long beard and long hair, and I was undergoing this procedure on my leg, so I was walking with a cane. I just looked like some really weird, super old, weird guy. That why is he in this class? I don't. I'd be riding the bus with other students that were wearing Weezer shirts that didn't even, they had no idea it was me.
I just love that.
Wow.
You'd be on a bus at Harvard as a student, and people are wearing Weezer shirts, and they don't know that you have any connection to that band.
Yeah, so on the last day of school, after the full year, in my music class, I remember, was having a conversation with some other kids, and one of them said, "So what are you doing for the summer?" I was like, I think we're going on tour with No Doubt, and I was like, "Oh, cool. Are you working on a tour or something?" And no, I'm in Weezer, and that, minds were blown at that moment.
That's right. And they're like, "So you're a roadie for Weezer?" And you're like, "No." "You're the accountant." "No." Longevity is almost impossible in music. It's hard in comedy, but I think it's almost impossible in music, especially popular music. So that's got to feel amazing. It's been a long time.
Yeah. I don't know what else to compare it to. This is the only life I've lived as far as I know, so it seems pretty normal. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's not a lot of the same bands that we started with are still going.
What do you think has helped? Because the band dynamic is so impossibly, it can be so corrosive, and bands usually just end up splintering, falling apart into a million pieces.
Yeah.
What is it you think has helped you guys stick it out?
First of all, we really need each other, but we're way more successful together than any of us would be separately. Mm-hmm. And so we're kind of stuck. We're stuck together. And then just getting older and getting married to other people, women, not us, not each other, and going.
So you didn't all marry each other. Well, I'm sorry, I read this article. My research. Who's doing the fucking research here? It says here, and then in 1998, the band all married each other. This unconventional rite was sanctioned by the. Okay, well, anyway.
That would not have worked.
I want you to think about it. What do you think it is about you guys all getting married, which some people might think that would pull you apart, actually helped you sustain?
Because you learn how to communicate.
Yeah.
With, in your marriage, you have to, and likely, your partner can teach you so much about communicating, and then in my case, so I've been in couples therapy for many years, and just learning how to communicate, and then I bring that back to the band, and it now, like, things that caused so much problem when we're in our early 20s in the band, and in some cases caused ruptures, and like all that stuff would have been avoidable with better communication that we have now.
That's I have found that as time has gone on, I look at myself in my 20s and 30s, and I was so driven and so ambitious and kind of, puritanical about this is comedy and sacred and it must be this way and it's the only way it can be, and then I attributed a lot of my mellowing to I've become more sophisticated, and I've become my marriage of 20 years has really helped me, and my children, and I do, I've come up with all these ways in which I've become wiser. And then my wife's mom, my mother-in-law, who's very smart and a therapist, she said, well, your testosterone level fell. And I went, what? And she went, testosterone levels with men, they drop, and yours has, fallen precipitously, which is why you're so feminine now and easy to get along with. And I was like, oh, okay.
Interesting.
Thanks a lot. I was wearing a wonderful dress at the time, beautiful. But yeah, there is something about I love. We all kind of romanticize, or it's easy to romanticize, especially when you're younger. That kind of Neil Young. It's better to burn out than fade away, and die young and leave a good-looking corpse. And as you get older, you're like, fuck that. I want to be here and keep changing and evolving, and I'm fascinated by the whole thing, and I'd like to keep creating and see what I can do. And if people prefer the earlier stuff or they don't like what I'm doing now, I'm going to keep trying. I was trying to think today, what is it about Weezer, what is it about your music, Rivers, that gets to me? And I will say it is incredibly unique. Like it is, there's no one else. I just keep listening to the riffs, I keep listening to the construction of the song, and it just never sounds like anybody else. And I mean that in the most complimentary way. It's just, I always know it's you when the song starts, and it's just fantastic. And I don't know, so I guess part of where I wanted to start was figuring out where that comes from, your approach to music, because you have such a unique, individualistic approach to it. When you were a kid, what were you listening to?
All right, I'm actually thinking of the sweater song now because you just mentioned it, but I remember the moment I came up with that riff.
Yeah.
And I was about 20, 21 years old, and I had been exposed to cool music finally after moving to LA from Connecticut. Got a job at Tower Records and started listening to Sonic Youth and Pixies and Velvet Underground. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try to write a Velvet Underground song. And I sat down and came up with the sweater song riff. And I was like, yes, this is so cool. And, a couple years went by, we got signed, put out a record, it blew up, very happy. 1995, we ended up playing this big festival in New York City, and Lars Ulrich was there from Metallica, and I saw him backstage.
Yeah.
And the truth was, I was a huge metal head in high school, and that's really how I learned how to play my instrument. It suddenly occurred to me, like, the sweater song, that riff, that's actually very similar to Metallica's Sanitarium. And if you play them next to each other, they're pretty much identical. Just one sweater song's in a major key. So I had to tell him that right then and there. That's what I told him when I met him.
And how did Lars take it?
He's totally cool. We just ran into him again. Yeah, he's just very, very cool. And because recently we covered Enter Sandman, and it's been in our set recently, and we ended up playing with him this summer, and we were so close to playing Enter Sandman right before they went on, and but when we asked him, like, hey, is it cool if we play it? And he said, yeah, that would mean we don't have to play it.
So did you play it?
No, we didn't. We chickened out.
Oh, man. That would have been amazing.
It would have.
What would the crowd have done? I guess, it would be...
That's the question.
Yes. That is the question.
Well, Metallica would have to play the sweater song.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I'd pay to see that, too. It reminds me of... I know a comedian who's also a musician, is a really brilliant guy named Andy Breckman, who's written for Saturday Night Live and a million other things. And he famously opened for Don McLean once at a festival. And what he did, he played American Pie and did the whole thing. And Don McLean was not happy. That just kills me. That just kills me. But yeah, I mean, Metallica could handle it because they've got a million songs, Not so Don McLean. Sorry, Don. Well, he's got the Van Gogh song.
He's listening.
Yeah. Oh, trust me. Avid fan. Avid fan. You mentioned your leg. I want to bring this up quickly because I actually know someone who went through the same procedure.
Oh.
You were born one leg shorter than the other, is that right?
Yeah, when I was born, they were even, but as I got taller, my right leg just couldn't keep up for some reason. And yeah, by the time I was full grown, it was almost 2 inches shorter than the left leg.
Wow. Wow.
So yeah, there's a procedure, I think they still do it, called the Elizarov procedure.
They still do it, and I know good friends of ours, their child went through it. And it's, when you hear about it, it almost sounds medieval.
Yeah.
This procedure, but it works.
Yeah.
You want to describe it?
It's pretty basic. They in my case it was my femur, so they cut your femur in half, and then they screw this cage around your leg and into your bone, and then every day you turn 4 screws on this cage, and it kind of separates either end of it a millimeter. So over the course of a couple months, it's separated 2 inches, and
the bone.
It's doing that, the bone's
grows.
kind of growing in the middle.
Oh my God.
Wow.
But it must be. I mean, is that incredibly painful to turn those screws?
Yeah, it was pretty painful.
Yeah, I mean, I know I asked a really stupid question, and I'll own that. But and I'll admit that I knew the answer, but I wanted you. I cannot believe, and as I said, I know someone who went through this, and it was very successful. But I really felt for this young woman, and I felt for the parents, because I just thought, I can't imagine turning those screws every day.
I feel sad when I think about a little kid doing it, and I saw kids at the hospital doing it same time as me, and you feel bad for them because they didn't. I signed up for it. I wanted to do it. I was excited,
but it worked. It was successful.
Well, it didn't work. Well, that's the thing, is it works a lot better for kids. Their bones just grow, and even for me at 25 already, the bone just wasn't filling in, so I had to screw it back together again and then start over and start stretching it, and it still didn't grow. So they ended up, after a year of that, they took some bone out of my hip, ground it up, and stuck it into the space between the 2 halves of my femur, and then that finally took.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. That just took my breath away. That is. No, I'm sorry you went through that. But my God, it just,
Do you want to ask him again if it was painful?
Well, okay. I actually do. So, you take a little aspirin? Leave? What do you do?
No. I took a wonderful opiate called Demerol. And, I had no experience with those kind of pills till that point, and I really came to love it.
I'm hoping you still don't love it. I'm hoping that
I try my best to avoid those kind of painkillers if at all possible, because they're so good.
I do have to say, and I've been on record as saying this before, the few times in my life when I've required a professional level major league painkiller or opiate, I've been the happiest I've ever been in my life, and that's a terrible thing and no one should do them. But I understood where Keith Richards and everyone was coming from, but no, terrible.
And the other silver lining is the way it affected my voice. So on our second record, I actually went to do the vocals when I was in the middle of this procedure, and man, there's something in my voice. Just I can hear what I've gone through, and the physical suffering. It comes out in this very beautiful, sad tone in my voice. Mm-hmm. And I don't think there's any other way to get that.
It's such a cliche, the hunger artist, that great art has to come, there has to be pain, and everyone has their own version of that. But, and clearly I don't wish pain on anybody, but something does come from this, I would think. Do you agree with that? That you get something, other than just a longer leg, that this is somehow influential in your creative process, or no?
It depends on how you feel about that album, because it was a big flop when it came out. Still, a lot of people don't like it. You don't hear it on the radio, but for other people, it's their favorite Weezer album, and there's something really special on it.
I love it, and I know at the time it was not a commercial success, and critics didn't like it. I think it's been reevaluated since then.
Yeah, I'm a little skeptical, because I feel like the only people who bother to go back and reevaluate an album from 1996 are the people who kind of already love it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to ask the people who gave it such bad reviews when it originally came out, hey, what do you think of it now?
Yeah. It's hard to, who knows what they're doing now? Like, they may not still be reviewing music.
Yeah.
That's the other thing I learned early on is with criticism is try not to hold grudges. That just felt so destructive to me, and I don't want to have a dialogue with people who, whatever, they didn't like what I was doing in 93 and 94, and there were a lot of people who didn't, and I understand where they were coming from. I just decided to keep going, and if I ran into them today, I would like to think I'd have a pleasant conversation with them, and because I don't want to have that. Hey, man, why didn't you like me back then?
Are you thinking of someone specific?
There's too many, actually.
Okay.
There's too many people.
That's weird, because as somebody who's just watching your show back then, it would never have occurred to me there's people that don't like you.
Well, that's sweet. Well, it was generational.
You mean the older people?
Yeah, there was and we and I understood where it was coming from, because I really came out of nowhere and I was very unpolished, and I can see it. I can see why people would. What I loved, which really meant a lot to me, is very young people were completely. They were not judgmental at all. They just saw the weird stuff we were doing and thought, "Oh, this is for us. I like this," but it was very discordant, I think, to a whole generation, and it really upset people. and at the time, I hated going through that, but now it's part of the story, and made my peace with it. And so, but I know I know that situation, or that feeling of you put something out there, and you drop that penny down the well, and there's you don't hear the splash, you don't get the response you wanted. And I think it's so funny, because I just think of throwing it back to you, Weezer, you guys have endured for so long and done such good work, and there's so much great stuff there that you have a conversation with anybody, I don't see, nobody knows or really cares how your second album was received. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Which is really nice.
Yeah.
They're looking at the whole. They're looking at the body of work. At what point do you realize, must have been early, but music? Because music is, it's so interesting. If anyone's listening to this interview and they're thinking, I've heard of Reggie Watts, but I don't know his whole thing, of course. And you're well known as band leader for Corden for all those years and Comedy Bang Bang. But it's my highest compliment I can pay to you is that you are impossible to categorize, because it's like, he's a musician. Yeah. Well, he's a band leader. Well, but he's a comedian. Yeah, but he's also an artist, but he's also a but he's also a prankster. It's like, which I think is great. It's like you refuse to be categorized. But music must have come to you very early, I would think.
I think music is the secret weapon. I think for me growing up, I loved music. My parents loved music. They listened to it. My dad was a huge jazz head. Mm-hmm. And my mom and he shared their love of jazz, but also specifically more funk, like James Brown and things of that nature. And my mom loved folk music, like Nana Mouskouri and those types of Edith Piaf and those types of singers, Julio Iglesias. And so I was around so much music. Ray Charles was someone I gravitated to as a kid. I loved watching the way that he moved when he played piano. And then, for some weird reason, Elvis Presley, I was like my first record was an Elvis Presley record. I was impressed with the press, but he was, that's trademarked. You will have to meep that.
No one's ever said that about Elvis Presley. No one's ever. And everything's been said about him.
I know, totally.
And no one's ever said, I'm impressed with the press. I feel fondly for the Lee. Lee? Press Lee. What? Lee for the Lee. Fondly for the Lee. What the fuck?
I told you. What did you... No, I mean... But discovering music, like my parents saw me like on my, I would be like bedside pretending to be Ray Charles. I was a mimic as far back as I can remember. And they saw me doing that and they got me this toy piano and I was playing on the toy piano a lot. And then as soon as we moved to Montana, I think at age like 5.5 or something like that, I went into classical piano training and took to it pretty well. And I loved, but I was also social. So for me, it was like, oh, I get to be with all these kids and like, oh, I'll learn music, but what about all these kids? You know, the music was fascinating, but really, I think that's what creates that adaptability. Because for me, the one thing I always tell all my artist friends where they're like, you know, I'm doing this one thing, but I'm not sure. I'm thinking about maybe doing painting. I'm like, those are just extensions of yourself. It's like if you imagine yourself as like a person sitting on a floor and you're surrounded by all these different medium tools. You can rotate to any position and pick one. It's like this, the core is always the same. You're the creator. Pick different tools, but you've got the most important part, which is like, I have an idea of something I want to do. And so for me, I think music enabled that because I would be on the playground. It would save me if, you know, people would be like, they'd be hostile towards me and I would start singing like Olivia Newton-John or something, Let's Get Physical. And they'd be like, that's a good song. I tried that
and I was, again, savagely beaten.
Were you?
Yeah.
Let's pick the right song.
Let's get physical, physical.
Okay.
I know how to stop these hooligans.
Sure thing, O'Brien.
Yeah.
How about this for physical?
Yeah. Hey, O'Brien, we're going to beat the shit out of you. No, I don't think so, sir. For I'm about to sing a classic tune by Olivia Newton-John. What the fuck? Oh, you'll see. Let's get physical, physical.
Oh my God.
When I awoke in the ICU,
oh, God.
There's not one unbroken bone in his body.
True, though. True.
That bully was Olivia Newton-John.
I was just imagining
what
the bullies.
What was she doing at the playground?
I was just imagining the bullies going like, is that all of them? It's like, oh no, I think this pinky. It's like, okay,
yeah, there's
now
one
we're
more.
done. Get out of here, masterpiece.
Yeah. These are bullies that really took their job seriously, and if they found out later on that there was an unbroken pinky, they were like, you know, you got to respect your craft.
It's a warranty.
Did the teachers just watch this happen too? Or are they joining in?
Oh, they would sell seats.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
O'Brien, left uppercut. O'Brien, watch out.
There's another beating of O'Brien. Everyone to the north side of the parking lot.
Roger that. We're suspending all lessons for the day.
The SAT has been canceled. The PSAT has been canceled. No one's going to college. Goodyear blimp passes. It's already got like messaging about me. The Conan beating. You know what else can take a beating? A Goodyear tire.
I know, totally. Hi, my name is Reggie Watts, and I feel quixotic about being Conan O'Brien's friend.
Very nice. I love that. No one's used that word yet. I don't think it's been used on the podcast.
On the earth in at least 20 years.
On the earth. Yeah, that's true.
A quixotic attempt. Of course, after the great Don Quixote.
Yeah, of course.
Meaning a fanciful, vain attempt at something is quixotic. Sona's quixotic attempt to say something clever during the interview. That kind of, you know what I mean?
Wow.
Okay.
Right? You like that?
I guess. Is it? I don't know if that's the proper. Is it
Probably
the proper
not.
usage?
Probably not at
no,
all.
I don't think.
But
it
you
is.
say it confidently, and it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
You say anything confidently.
Post-truth, guys, post-truth.
Reggie, you and I got some history, and that's why I'm so thrilled that you're here today. Real history.
Yes.
You have written a book, and you have a fantastic story to tell, and you're a very talented and also a very strange fellow. Let's just be honest. I mean, the glasses alone Hold up those glasses so
Yes.
our viewers can see and our listeners. Those are they hexagons? What are those?
They're hexy. They're
They're
hexy, baby.
hexagons. Yeah.
The future's hexy.
How many? Now I'm gonna take, because I don't know if Matt Gourley, Sona knows this, but I don't know if Matt knows that Sona was on the tour.
Yes.
We did this kooky tour, which was really fun and out there in 2010, and it was a real happening. And we needed someone to open for me on this tour that went all around the United States of America. And we found Mr. Reggie Watts. And Reggie was a great opener for the show, and you did an amazing job. And one of the things you did so brilliantly is people were coming to the show. We put it together so quickly that nobody knew what it was. And I wanted them to know right away, this isn't the show you thought you were going to get. In fact, this is unlike any show you've ever seen. So you can't just have a standard. I just can't have a comedian come out and go, hey, everybody, how's it going? How you doing? Hey, what's with the sweater? Who died and gave you the sweater because they were dead and didn't need the sweater anymore?
That guy sucks.
Oh, that guy's terrible.
Yeah, he sucks.
He's dead, so he doesn't need the sweater, but the sweater's what fucking killed him. Anyway, I love that comment. It's a great bit.
He is good in context.
He's very good in context. And you should really see the sweater he would go after every night. And it was the same sweater.
Plant.
It was a plant.
Hack.
Anyway, we couldn't get that guy. I wanted that guy so badly. His name's Hack B. Hackenstein. We couldn't get him. No, but someone had heard of, have you seen Reggie Watts? And you were not a known quantity at the time, but we saw you and you were absolutely exactly what I wanted. And you would, I can't even describe what you would do, but it was so original and so fun and so interesting and so different that people would come in and they'd see the warm-up and they would think, you were there, Sona, like, oh my God, what is happening? What is this going to be? And it was great. You were perfect.
It was awesome. Yeah.
But you did one thing that completely blew me away, and then I'm going to let you speak at some point, but I'm just going to monologue for a while because it's Reggie Watts, and I'm very excited. You would, no matter, we were touring in the summer, it was very hot. This gentleman would wear very, very heavy sweaters.
Yes.
All the time.
Always.
And lots of corduroy.
Yep.
And suspenders.
And layers.
And layers.
Yeah.
And we would be in Texas. We would be in, you tell me, Georgia. It would be 130 degrees.
Yeah.
And you would be walking around. You never sweat. And then I would be sitting in my dressing room alone doing guitar scales and trying to warm up my vocals for the show and just trying to get ready. And then I would wander down the hallway and I would pass Reggie's dressing room. And you will testify that this is true, Sona. I would pass Reggie's dressing room and it was always a happening.
Yes.
I would look in the room and there was always about 35 people there. Beautiful women, but with like an eye patch, a beautiful woman with an eye patch and a falcon on her shoulder.
Oh, yeah.
Tanya.
Yeah, exactly. Tanya.
Yeah.
It really
Contract
did.
killer.
The coolest people I've ever seen.
And it was, they were always different. Every time it was different people. Oh, there's a German man with a miner's helmet and he's got a goat with him, but he's also drinking absinthe. And it was just this insane collection of human beings. And they would always look at me like, was ist los? Ist dein Conan? And you'd be like, oh, hey, Conan. I'd be like, oh, hey. And you would all be like, a hookah. There are doves in the room. Prince was there. I don't know. Like, it was always a happening. Yeah. You're the coolest guy I've met. How did you do that? How did you? And we'd be nowhere. We'd be like, oh, we're here in Tallahassee, and there are those people again. And they don't. Did you fly them in?
I don't know how that. You know what? Really, it had to do with the tour. I mean, who wouldn't want to come and hang out backstage at your tour?
It was pretty fun.
People were like, what is happening? Like, they were like, as much as you're saying, like, what is happening with this guy? Like, my friends were like, what's going on with Conan? It's like, I'm opening for, it's impossible. Let me come, And I'd be like, yeah, it was easy. Everyone was so excited.
It was so weird because we also never knew who was going to be backstage, and whatever state or city we were in, the most famous people from that state or city would show up.
Right.
And so, we'd be in Seattle and it'd say, Eddie Vedder is going to Pearl Jam's going to come do something on the show. And I'd be like, what? And I'd say, this isn't funny. This is hurtful, this prank. And then Eddie Vedder, go ahead.
One of my favorite.
And this is Aaron Blaird speaking.
Yes,
now. I discourage his interruptions, but go ahead, Aaron.
I remember.
And just so you know, you'll never be allowed to speak.
Yeah.
Oh no. I know that. I saw it in the contract.
That tour was so nuts. I have a specific memory of being in San Francisco. And I was backstage, like trying to get from one side of the stage to the other. And there's this very narrow hallway. And I'm kind of walking very fast down the hallway. And you're talking to somebody. And I just go to kind of push this person away. And as I'm about to touch them, I realize you're talking to Neil Young.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah, maybe I'll just
don't
wait.
you fucking manhandle Neil Young.
I just waited.
But you were such a good... I don't know. It was one of those, so many things went miraculously right on that tour. And I would say the first thing was, our opener, which was a total Hail Mary, it was Reggie Watts. Mm-hmm. And you just set the tone right away. And whatever happened on that crazy tour, you were like, of course this is happening. And then, of course, as I got to know you better throughout the tour, which was a real delight. And I've seen your career blossom so beautifully subsequently. And now you have this book out. I realized that you have this improbable background that kind of made you coming into that tour feel like, yeah, what else you got? You know what I mean? I don't think a weird situation could be created for you that you couldn't handle. Okay, here's another huge influence on you, and you mentioned it in the book, the Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yes, huge.
That was a huge influence on you because he broke the fourth wall.
That was mind blowing. I mean, it was one of the smartest moves of a movie script ever, I think. I mean, sure, not the first movie, but definitely of those coming of age films, which I was all about. I just liked all the things that he accomplished in a day. I mean, it was insane. And like, is he going to make it? You know, that rascally principal, you know, and his sister was kind of badass, you know, like there was so many adventurous things, and it only took place in a day. And then at the end, like him, or just once in a while throughout the movie too, but like looking at the camera, I was like, that is so cool. I love that. Like we're in on it. Like he's experiencing that reality for us.
And also it's very hard to do because it can be done badly.
Yes.
And of course, John Hughes and Matthew Broderick, they did it perfectly.
Perfectly. Yeah, it was just like it was practical.
It's kind of a perfect movie.
It's totally a perfect movie. I've watched it. You know, some of those movies are like, ugh. But just moments of it are kind of, you know, Breakfast Club.
This is totally aside and random, but I was down in Venice, here in California, with David Hopping like a week and a half ago, and we wander into a store, and I'm chatting with the guy who runs the store, and he says to a woman there who's also working there, this very attractive woman who's probably in her early 20s or mid 20s, and he says to her, I can't remember her name, but he says, like, you know, Celia, tell Conan your story. Tell her your story. And she comes over kind of sheepishly because she's being forced to, and she says, my parents are the parents on Ferris Bueller. What? And I said, what do you mean? And she said, the two actors that play the mother and the father on Ferris Bueller, they met on that movie.
What?
And they're my parents.
Oh my God.
And then the guy at the store is like, isn't that crazy?
Oh.
And at this point I feel like I have to buy something. Yeah. And they met on that movie, and then she is their child, and she is drop dead gorgeous, by the way.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And very nice and very cool. But I just thought, wait a minute, are you insane that you think, because when you think of people who are playing a couple in a movie, you never think.
No.
And she said, no, they met on that movie and then had me.
She's the real life Bueller.
God.
She is the real life Bueller.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That was a cool story.
She's real Bueller. That's crazy. Does she ever just randomly stop in the middle of the street and just turn to a camera that's not there?
Well, I was...
Get a load of me.
Yeah, she did. While I was talking to her.
No way.
Yeah, she turned to a camera that wasn't there and said, I meet a lot of celebrities at this store here, in near Venice Beach. Conan, kind of bottom of the pile. But you know what? You got to pretend to be excited. And then she turned back to me.
Oh, you were still there?
I was still there.
Oh, man.
And I said, that's rude. And then she turned back to a different camera and said, "Who knew he could hear me?"
Multicam.
Yeah,
The
multicam.
fifth wall.
Yeah.
She broke
fifth wall.
She broke the fifth wall.
She broke so many walls, the roof
Not
collapsed.
easy to do.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
She's living in a hypercube.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know her name, but shout out to her. And
No kidding.
Very,
That's-
and very lovely, cool person.
So
I'll
glad
just put
to
that
know
out there.
that. That's
Yeah.
fucking mind blowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Bueller. Bueller is great, but also I love Weird Science. Weird Science was huge. Like Weird Science.
Weird Science is so insane
So insane.
because I'm sorry, but the premise is
It's
the
so
premise
crazy.
is crazy. It's because I remembered seeing that. This is how old I am. I saw that in the theater as an adult who could choose to purchase or not purchase a ticket.
Yes.
And I went with Craig Daniels because we were both writers and we had no girlfriends. Big surprise. We're living out here in LA and this movie comes out, Weird Science. And we think, well, let's go to Westwood and watch it.
To learn how to make a girlfriend.
Yeah, exactly. We both need to make a girlfriend, clearly, because no one we meet wants to talk to us. So we go to this theater and these two guys just basically, I think, cut out a bunch of pictures from magazines.
Yes.
And feed them into a what?
A supercomputer.
Yeah.
A supercomputer.
And a
But a
bra,
home
right?
computer.
Then they
A brassiere.
Yeah,
then a
yeah,
brassiere.
yeah.
Then I
A
think
Barbie doll.
Yeah.
the out for and there's a Barbie doll. And then I think because they run a cable to the roof and lightning hits
Yep.
it, that makes Kelly LeBrock.
That's true.
That's
Yeah,
Now,
but they
I-
designed her on the computer.
Yeah.
I
That's
know,
right.
but I was like, the leaps people were making with, if you take a personal computer and there's a lightning storm
Yep.
and you have a bra
Yeah.
and some dolls around,
Yeah.
you
Mostly
can
the
make
bra.
Kelly LeBrock.
Yeah, computers were still like fancy enough that you couldn't pin it down for. Oh, could it do that?
Yeah,
What?
I know. People just didn't question it.
Yeah.
They're like,
No.
that'll happen.
I guess that can happen with a computer and a lightning storm if they both
we
happen
need
at the same
both.
time.
It's very hard. So, those kids got lucky in that movie.
I remembered that happening and being like a 22-year-old in the theater and just saying, okay, I guess I really don't understand computers.
I'm glad that
But
was
myself
the thing.
and my writing partner, we went out that night. We bought an apple. We bought 7 Barbies.
Yeah.
And you're still waiting. for
And
that moment.
Greg was electrocuted.
Nola Brock. Here he is, electrocuted, LeBrockless.
The firefighters showed up, and all they said when they saw us, we were both smoldering, was trying to make a LeBrock, huh?
A lot of that lately.
We got 2 more nerds on Barrington trying to make a LeBrock.
You two stop LeBrocking around. Get out of here.
Yeah. Enough LeBrocking, you idiots. All the power surges going in these different nerd areas of town.
then some shadow creature emerges in the background. That show was. Also it had Mad Max vibes in it. It had it had it was so crazy. It was
the guy from Mad Max.
Yeah, the guy from Mad Max was in it. It was insane. But the crazy thing was that my first girlfriend was English, and she was a model for like teen nightwear or something like that. And so she came from London because her mother married an Air Force guy. And so my first girlfriend was like this English brunette model. I was like, how's this even possible? Like, I was just watching Weird Science, and now my first girlfriend is this. It was very, very weird.
Right.
And I was very insecure about it because I was like, there's no way the whole time. There's no way. It's like, which is not the right attitude.
And when you're saying that out loud and you're with her.
There's no way. No way. Can't touch your shoulder? Oh, there's no way.
There's no way.
No
While
way.
you're having sex.
What?
There's just no way. There's just no way.
What? No way.
There's no way. You're totally leaving me. Can we at least finish this first?
Do you take
There's
this
just
woman
no way
to be your lawfully wedded?
Yeah, there's no way. Baby born. There's no way.
How? My new book, How? My life with the real Kelly LeBrock.
When did you decide, all right, this is what I'm going to do? I'm going to go out on my own and I'm going to use, I'm going to use this tech that I have and my improvisational skills and my wits, and I'm going to make this musical mashup of music comedy. When does that happen?
I mean, that happened, I think, when I was about 31 or 32. I was in my band Mock Tube, which was a really amazing band to be a part of, a great band. But I think we'd been together for 5 years, and we'd gone through a bunch of hype cycles with labels and like, execs coming out, Jimmy Iovine coming out to watch us, and like doing showcases in LA and stuff like that, Viper Room. And we'd almost something would happen, and then we'd go back to like, oh, they passed or whatever, and then we would work on another record or something like that. And I just wasn't seeing it evolving beyond, the third time that we'd gone through that. So, and I was doing comedy, and then I saw, what are they called? Please, Michael Showalter, Michael Ian Black.
Oh, The State?
David
The
Wayne.
State.
Not The State. Stella. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I was post-State. I learned about State later, but I saw Stella, and I was like, what is this? Those little shorts shot on DV.
Yep.
And I was like, this is my humor. These guys know how meaningless things are, and like, and that's so beautiful. And so I identified with that. And then they ended up, I think Wet Hot American Summer came out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I saw that, and I was like, totally like, oh, yes, I want to do that. I was so driven and inspired by those things. And then they happened to come to town. Stella did come to town. I met Eugene Merman, and I was introduced by a friend, and he was like, we have a comedy night in New York, and then I ended up writing with a band, and they needed me in New York for the writing session for a month. So while I was there, I did a couple spots at Invite Them Up and instant friends with everybody.
That's great.
It was like being in high school again. It was exactly, whenever I get up on stage solo these days, I'm like, this is what I was doing in high school. This is exactly the same shit with a little bit more tech.
It's funny. I do feel like there's this, and it applies to everybody. There's this period of your life where you feel completely isolated and alone, and then you're working on your thing in complete anonymity, and then time goes by, and you just keep working on it, and then slowly it's like any of those movies where someone's off on a journey and they pick up people along the way. Do you know, like some kind of a Hobbit tale or something? But you're on your journey and you pick up people, and then we're joined by this creature, and then this guy decides to come along, and then we meet this woman and she comes along, and you just build up this troupe, and then finally you find kind of what the mission is. Yeah. But it comes much later.
You're right.
And I'm always trying to encourage, I think there's sometimes younger people feel this pressure to know right away what it is, and I think you don't know yet. You just keep working on these instincts that you have, and this other stuff will come to you because some time has to go by. That's just necessary.
That's exactly right. I mean, when some of my younger friends or younger artists are like, how do you make it? And, how did you, basically that's like the question, but how do you make it? And I'm like, well, I don't know. You don't have to worry about making it. Like, what you have to make is the thing that you love to do.
Yes.
And do that. Yeah. And most importantly, find the community. Like, go out to the nights, watch people on the lineup. Don't be backstage talking to everybody. That's nice, once in a while, of course. But like, if you can see a few people on the lineup, look at what they're doing and have fun, laugh at it. Don't be analyzing it, just like have a fun time laughing at it. Get involved in the scene and be inspired that way. And then like, oh yeah, that was a dumb idea. Oh, what if, and then you make your stuff and you just follow the fun, and the fun leads you to opportunities. I really think it's that simple, even though but it's hard to not be worried, because you might be like, oh, I'm taking a little bit of a gamble, or someone's like, I don't know if I'm going to make it at this. And those are okay thoughts. But, I always tell people, like, if you wake up in the morning and you can't not be thinking about a bit, and if you're always doing bits, like that's kind of what you are.
Yeah.
You're not going to change that. So you might as well make a career out of it.
No, I've always maintained that my career is me doing what I'd be doing anyway. And then I was fortunate to find some people who had money, and owned the machinery, who were like, well, you can do it for us. But it's the dirty little secret is that if they said, well, we're done and we're taking away all the equipment, I'd say, okay, well, back to my bits.
Yeah, here are my old bits. Like, you just open up his closet.
Whatever.
Like,
and I would just do it in an empty field.
Yes.
And I think, totally. A passing dove would say, that seems sad.
Yeah, totally.
He's not aging well. He sure isn't. Who are are you, Mr. Turtle?
Well, I didn't know you could talk.
Everyone truck.
And
Everyone
it just becomes
talks.
this whole thing about how they can't
Yeah.
believe each other can talk.
Yeah.
You're like, but my bits.
But my bits. We're finding out we can talk. And you're obsessed with your bits, Conan?
Yeah, but here's my bit about Ronald Reagan. You know,
Well,
that's not interesting enough. So how did you learn to talk?
Toadstool? How could the toadstool not like my Reagan bit?
Oh my God.
You write in the book that because I noticed that just in tour that the women are quite taken with Mr. Reggie Watts, and then you write in the book that your dream girl is Pippi Longstocking.
Oh, me too.
Really?
Gourley?
I
Go
had
ahead.
a huge crush on Inger Nilsson, the original.
Oh, yeah. Well, also the concept, but yes, she was great. She was
Okay.
great. She was a great embodiment of it. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, and Inger
100%.
called stop writing her letters.
Well, no, but because of this show, they interviewed me for a Pippi documentary.
No!
So we talked about it on here, and they sent me a signed vinyl with Inger, Tommy, and Annika.
What?
Yeah,
Wait, who are the other two?
Tommy and Annika.
Okay. Can you fill in just for people that are listening and had some sort of a childhood? What people want to know who the other two are.
Add some-
Tommy
Well, I'm
and Annika
sorry.
are like her normal kid sidekicks.
Okay.
Yeah, they're
That's all we
sidekicks.
needed to know.
Yeah. They're friends. They're part of the crew. Yeah.
But she's amazing.
She's amazing. She was super strong.
Uh-huh.
She had a basement full of treasure.
Yeah.
So she had unlimited funds.
Yeah.
She could travel anywhere.
She could lift a horse.
She could lift a horse. She could, she was magical. She had red hair. I'm half redhead. She had pigtails that were magical and like she had cool style.
I'm having such a sense memory right now. I'm in my grandfather's small house in Misquamicut, Rhode Island, and there's a Pippi Longstocking movie that comes on, and this might have been with Inger.
I'm
And it
sure.
was, and back then there's
For
only
sure.
3 channels. This TV in Misquamicut, Connecticut, near the State Beach, doesn't get much reception of anything. So you'd see the same thing over and over again, and they were running a commercial for the Pippi Longstocking movie.
Yeah.
And there was just one line that rang in my head, which is a weird overdubbed. Someone, I think,
It's all
overdubbing.
overdubbed.
Yeah, because it was Swedish.
It's
and
Swedish.
Then her accent would change from film to film. She would
Yeah.
have just like a transatlantic, and then some films she'd just be like, "I'm from Brooklyn. I'm Pippi Longstocking."
Oh,
you
wow.
know?
Well, okay. So what I remember, you tell me if this at all rings a bell, is she's lifting a horse. She's running super fast, like at 100 miles an hour, and they've just sped up her legs. She's doing all these crazy things. And then they just cut to a very European weird kid, and it looked like poor quality film stock, who goes, "Pippi, are you crazy?"
Yeah, that's probably Tommy. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And I remember seeing that and going, what kind of movie is this?
You summed it
And
up.
my grandfather, a retired policeman, would say, "Turn that crap off! Pippi, are you crazy?" Wow. So
But they're
why?
using clips from this podcast in that documentary because we talked about it.
Well, we're going to talk about it more now.
I know.
And where's my cut, by the way? I want a piece of that.
The Pippi money's huge.
That Pippi money. Give me that long
I
stockings.
want in on that Longstocking money. So what is it about Pippi Longstocking? You first and then you, Matt. What is it?
I think I don't know. I guess I liked that she was like fully independent. You know, like she ran her own operation. And she ran her own operation. She just went on adventures. She was just like going on adventures all the time because that's what she was. Her grandfather was a pirate or something. Her father was a pirate, but no longer in the picture. And then, and had like this gang of kids. And I don't know. I had a huge crush on her. I thought that she was hot.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think Superman was always the ideal when you're a kid, but Pippi was kind of a little bit more realistic. Her dad left her alone.
That's right.
Just to live in this house called Villa Kula, and he just goes and sails the seas. And I had a huge crush on her too. Yeah. I think she was maybe like Blondie and Pippi were my first 2
Oh my
crushes.
God. Yeah, Blondie was pretty amazing.
Yeah, they're a little different. But
Yeah. Or you know what? Actually, Dale Bozio.
oh yeah,
Wait, who's
from
Dale
Berlin?
No, from
Missing
Missing
Persons?
Persons.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Band?
Woman. She's like,
Yeah, she looked like Blondie, kind of, right?
she kind of looked like a cross between Blondie. That people are gonna kill me. They're like a cross between and who's the dude from Twisted Sister?
Oh, D. Snyder.
D. Snyder.
Yeah.
Like a tiny bit, like a hair, like
Oh, I have a
5%.
huge crush on D.
Oh, you
Snyder.
do? There you go.
Yeah, that's my
There
ideal.
you go.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. No, Blondie really hit big my freshman year of high school, and I remembered her just being the ideal. Like, oh, that's the sexiest, and she still is.
Yeah, she's
for God's sake, she's the most. She's the sexiest, coolest woman alive.
We need to get Blondie and Pippi on this podcast
and have them fight.
Yeah, but Pippi would probably win.
Yeah, she'd start beating Blondie, and I'd go, Pippi, are you crazy?
16 millimeter. Stored improperly.
It's funny because you've had one of those careers too, where you popped in different things over the years. Sona, we all love Step Brothers. You're a Step Brothers. You're a Step Brothers fanatic.
I do love it so much.
The way you popped in that must have, felt like
one carb. That's right. That's the thing I remember most about that movie. Yeah.
And I know that your arc in Parks and Rec was a little strange, right? When the show started, there's a story to it.
Well, I started at the end of season 2. I mean, I had auditioned for the show originally, but it wasn't even really for a specific role. It was so early that Mike was still, me and Rashida read together and blew it and was bummed. And then Party Down came along. So in a way, it sort of worked out well. I was able to do that because I didn't get the Parks pilot. And I'm so glad I was able to do Party Down. And then weirdly, Mike loved Party Down. And from that asked me to come and join Parks. So it all sort of came around.
This is the inevitable question. Did you ever get to ask Mike, hey, man,
what the fuck?
What the fuck? I was here, remember when I auditioned for you?
Yeah.
That's just something that, and it's so funny because we've had this experience here on this podcast where we're talking to iconic, legendary actors. And when they bring up the guy who snubbed them, the casting director, Harrison Ford, did it on this podcast. And he was like, the year was 1967.
He was still like pissed about
he's
it.
Pissed.
Yeah, Jerry Sikorsky.
Jerry Sikorsky.
Yeah, and also, famously, Michael Jordan, when he was accepted into like the, Basketball Hall of Fame, his speech was all a list.
Yeah.
He started listing people who, this guy benched me in 5th grade. Remember that?
It's crazy.
Josh Kellaway.
Yeah.
And
it's his fuel. Like that documentary, he's constantly bringing it. Yeah.
It's his fuel, but it does bring up the idea of you're working with someone who
rejected me.
I had this with.
I know. Wait, what are you saying? He should be pissed at Mike Schur?
No, not pissed.
You know what? You're right.
Yes.
God damn it.
This is the goal of my podcast.
To dig up old animosities.
Here's a very well-liked, Adam is a very well-liked actor, celebrity, critically acclaimed, his wonderful family. He's happy. He's having this big moment that will keep going. And all I want to do is get him mad.
I know.
I'm going straight to Mike's house after this.
Ding dong. Hey, Adam,
hey,
bang!
Asshole. Boom. Fuck you. And then we never speak again.
Yeah. Then later he hears the podcast. Oh, I see. Then he rings my bell. Oh, hi, Mike. Bang. Soon, just a cavalcade of people punching each other.
And just lawsuits for years.
Yeah, lawsuits for years. We're all tied up in the courts.
I never asked him, I think because I was just 100% sure why, which was I sucked at auditioning. I hated it.
Right.
It was embarrassing. And I was just never very good at it. So I didn't walk out of there thinking I was going to get the job anyway.
I had this with Ray Romano. Ray Romano, who he wanted to be a monologue writer for my show. Great comedian, great joke writer. We didn't have a slot, but he had a good packet and people knew him. So I met with him and sat across. He came into my office and, at the time I'm like 32 years old.
Do you remember a meeting with him?
Vaguely. Yeah. And he was sitting there and he was real nervous. And I just kind of said that your stuff is great.
Yeah.
But we didn't have an opening. So he goes from that experience to maybe a year later getting Everybody Loves Raymond.
Wow.
And then becoming this monolithic TV star.
Yeah.
And I remember later on running into him and saying, so I was really bummed I didn't get that job. You know, I'm like,
wow.
What are you talking about? Do you realize what we pay monologue? Right?
Wow.
Was it me? No, there wasn't an open Ray, hello, Ray.
Yeah.
You're Ray Romano. That doesn't happen if you're with me writing,
You are profoundly wealthy.
Yeah, exactly.
Because of your greatness.
You can buy and sell me 35.
That's
I
right.
know, but I think I could have done it.
Are you sure you weren't talking to Bobcat Goldthwait?
No, I was talking to Cookie Monster. Cookies. Anyway, it's just, I don't know. I love people that just get stuck on something like that, and I'm trying to get you stuck on it, but it didn't work out.
I am now. I'm obsessed. Al Pacino, too. Did he say something about that? You guys had Al Pacino
Yes, and he sat right where you're sitting, and he's one of my all-time.
That was a great interview.
And talk about, I couldn't believe that I'm in, I mean, I bumped into him a couple of times. He had always been very sweet to me, knew who I was, would called me over to his table once. I mean, just I couldn't believe that this guy. Yeah. There's of all the space in his brain, there's one cell that knows about me. Yeah. I couldn't believe it because I'm such a massive fan. But he was sitting here, and he was very in touch with no bitterness at all, but very much in touch with the fact that Coppola and the studio really didn't want him.
Yeah.
I mean, Coppola wanted him to have the role in The Godfather, but to be Michael, but studio didn't want him. Yeah. And then for maybe half the shoot of the movie, they don't like, the studio doesn't like him. And Coppola is like, I know, he's not bringing it. He's not bringing it. And tells him that. Yeah. And he remembered being called over to Coppola's table at a restaurant, and Coppola didn't even stand up.
Yeah, you didn't ask him to sit down.
Didn't ask him to sit down. And so he was very much in touch with that, and still is. And I remembered him saying to me, like, Conan, they didn't want me. They didn't want me. And I'm like, yes. But then you did get it, and you became the face
Michael
of the
Corleone.
Yes. For not one, but two of the greatest films ever made. And then you go on to do all this other iconic work, and it's like, I know, but they didn't want me. And it's just incredible. You know,
Al Pacino.
Al Pacino is
just to think. I listened to his book that he was promoting here, and just him talking about like scenes in The Godfather and how he finally convinced them he was right for the role from doing the scene where he shoots the two guys in the restaurant. But just thinking about, at one point, there were people just like working on that scene and trying to figure out like how to do. It's just so weird to think that there was a time before that scene existed, and that scene is because of some decisions that people kind of guessed at and were just figuring it out.
Also, I love, and this has happened before too, I love the concept that there are crew people going, who the fuck is this guy?
I know.
And when they were shooting the opening of The Godfather, and it takes place at the big wedding at Marlon Brando's estate, and everyone's dancing and having fun, and they cut over to Michael and Kay, and he's really underplaying it. Yeah. He's just out of the army, and he's explaining who people are. Yeah. He's, that's Luca Brazzi. He works for my father. He takes care of. So what does your father do, Michael? But apparently those dailies came back, and the people at, I guess it was Paramount maybe, were like, who is this droopy noodle of a guy in a big army hat? He's terrible.
Yeah.
And
like zero charisma.
Zero charisma. And he's not being, and the crew. The crew is like, what's with this guy? And apparently, the other time that happened, you're a graduate.
Yeah.
So Dustin Hoffman is, in the book, The Graduate is blonde-haired, blue-eyed, and so they wanted like Robert Redford. That was just who it was supposed to be. And the big brave decision was, no, it's going to be this little-known actor, theater actor, Dustin Hoffman, who's not a blonde-haired, blue-eyed kid. And the crew and everyone is like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
This guy's mumbling.
Is this the same crew? What a bunch of assholes.
No, I know. Hey, trust me.
They didn't believe in what they were working on.
Oh my God. This is the crew I had at late night in 93, 94, and 95.
Right.
Because we inherited Dave's, and I swear to God, people were, I don't blame them, but they were like, they had just had David Letterman.
Wait, you had Dave's crew?
I had a third. His core. I had his camera, some of his camera, because they stayed behind.
Sure.
Dave went to CBS and took some people, but there was a core, and I don't blame them. There was like cable pullers and stuff, and David Letterman, after 11 years of reinventing the format and dominating, has now gone on to greater heights. And they're like, they got this new kid. Here he comes, and I come in, and I'm like, hi everybody, my name's Conan. I know. Anyway, I like improv. We're gonna try some weird stuff. I don't know. I think it's gonna be okay. Hey, does anybody what dries up acne? Does anybody know? Like, I still had acne break out occasionally, and I'd be like, does anyone? Because I use this stuff. But is there something better?
Oh, no.
And these hard and
why are you asking the crew about your acne?
I don't know. And these guys,
just out to everyone asking if anyone has any recommendations.
I opened the shows with it often. Hi, if anyone's out there watching, it just keeps. I think it might be cystic. I don't know. It comes back. But that was the thing that blew my mind was that, and I didn't blame them, but there were just. There were guys on my crew that had worked on Sullivan when the Beatles played there.
Wow.
And I would ask them, like, what was that like? And they were guys from Long Island.
Yeah.
And they'd say stuff like, I don't know. I was mad because it's a Sunday night. I'm not supposed to work Sunday night. I'm on and then they call me because Steve I got to come in. And so I'm up in that. And I like, but it was the Beatles. Yeah, it was the Beatles. And I'm like, there's a lot of night. I don't know. They have fucking hair. I don't know. And then I'm on the way home and then the carburetor blows out. So fuck that shit, and I don't get paid overtime. And you're like, that's their memory of it.
Yeah. You're like, great. This was a really special talk that we just had. Thank you very much.